This is Uncle Ruckus. No relation. I'm a very spiritual person. I start out each day thanking the man for the sunrise, for the land I walk on, for the air I breathe, and for this show, the era of Reconstruction.
I can't wait to commemorate
Yeah, do you feel it coming on, ladies and gentlemen? It is the second edition of the era of Reconstruction. We're gonna get down and funky, and we're gonna get black, because that's what the three of us are. We're super black. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, AJ. Say something, girl.
What do you want me to say?
That you black.
I'm black.
Oh,
Black is the new black, guys.
Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Air Reconstruction podcast. It is a New Journey Pack production, and this is Friday, October the 2nd, 2020.
3 days before my birthday.
3 days before
Oh my
AJ's
gosh.
birthday. Are you serious?
Yeah.
How old are you gonna be?
Hold on, ladies. Hold on,
29.
ladies and gentlemen.
29.
29 years
I'm
old.
gonna be 29.
Years old. Oh my God.
Wow.
One more year to be before you're 30.
Before you
know.
grown.
What are you gonna do? Before you gotta get married.
I forgot.
You're still in your 20s.
Get married? No.
You forgot
I'm too young.
your birthday, right? Because we're busy.
I did. My
She can't do
my
that much.
parents
'cause
were
we
like,
got-
"Oh, we're coming down for your birthday," and I was like, "Oh yeah, in a couple weeks. Okay, I'll plan." They're like, "Angela,
Are they coming down to? Are they here?
they're coming tonight."
Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was like, "Oh my God, it's my birthday already."
Well,
That
we'll
came
try
up
to get
fast.
through some stuff. I didn't realize they were coming so quick.
Well, they said they'll land around like 8, 9 or something.
All right, well, we got to get through. We've been pulling late 11, midnight, 1 a.m. hours, folks, because of the election.
Last
it's amazing.
week it was like 2.
2, that's right, 2:30. So, yeah, and then getting up at work for the same time, the same day. Like the office opens, for those of you who don't know, our office in Florida opens at 10 a.m. But most people start work. Like my assistant is here like 8. Marina's here. She's our office manager at like 8:39. I start the day at 7:38 and at home in my drawers taking phone calls. The other day I was shouting I was shouting through the shower on the phone trying to do the stuff for the town hall. So I mean,
Wow, that's dedication.
we are working on I guess we can tell people what we're working on. We're trying to work on the presidential town hall. We've been working with lawyers, etc. The president had indicated to one of our major sponsors for the event that he wanted to do a town hall with us. Obviously, COVID, now the president's COVID, so that's, so it's been a battle, and that's just an added structure. But congratulations to turning 29. That's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I'm excited. It feels. I told that to my waiter, and they're like, "What? You look so young." And it's like it's crazy. I don't
Why
know
are you
what
telling that to a
happened to
complete
time.
stranger? A waiter?
Well, they overheard me talking, and they're like, "Oh, is it your birthday today?" I'm like, "No,
Oh, okay.
it's coming
All
up."
I thought you was trying to get some free food or something.
Well, I'll take some free cake now.
I'm not gonna be back
talking
here
about being
in
black
3 more
today,
days, so you need to honor it today. Plus, I'm black. Black lives do matter.
Black birthdays matter.
Amen. And black gifts, black cash apps, my cash apps.
And that's what the topic is gonna be. Black today. Black
Get some
today.
cash. And just gonna give you her cash app so you can get her some.
I got Zelle, I got Venmo, I got PayPal.
And I will take a
For a
check.
sugar daddy, Florida, you need not be in Florida.
My God. We can be virtual.
Oh my gosh!
Good
Praise
stuff.
the Lord.
But looks, we love what we do. We really love what we do. This
Yeah.
is a labor of love. This is not something where we begrudgingly come here and look in each other's faces. We do have a great time at the
Yeah.
office. And so, and hopefully you're having a great time listening to us ramble on but talk about more important issues. Actually, we're doing a special today. This is our second podcast for this Friday. This is actually, like we keep on saying, it's a black it's a black topic. The Brookings Institute produced a publication.
The liberal think tank.
Yeah, liberal think tank. I think I sent you guys the email back in, and this is kind of old. This is.
Let me check the email.
This is a little over 20 years old, but nonetheless.
He said kind of old. Then he went, well, it's 20 years old.
Hey.
20 years in the Trump era is like 100.
A lifetime.
These people are lazy. They need to update this thing. It's called Black Progress. How far we've come and how far we have to go. Mm-hmm. And then they list a couple of things that blacks have progressed out of or into. One of the things they said in 1940, 60% of employed black women, AJ, she's an employed black woman, worked as a domestic servant. Today, the numbers are down to 2.2%. Now, granted,
that was then.
This was then, exactly.
So now
That's
I
interesting.
don't know any. Do you know any black Americans? I'm not talking about black immigrants. But you're right, because when I was a kid, I knew plenty of black people who were domestic workers.
Right,
I don't know anybody now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Audrey only talks with the elite, so he wouldn't know anybody anyway. And he'd probably walk by them and not even notice them.
Oh, my gosh.
But also with that, it says, while 60% black women hold white-collar jobs. That's fantastic.
And that was when? That was 20 years ago.
Yeah, that was 20. And, of course, we're still living in a racist country, So that was 20 years ago.
I'll let you finish and I have a comment.
No. Go ahead, because I'm finished. Because I know what you're going to say.
This is what's amazing to me. We are always judging things by now. But if you take other countries and you say slavery ends in 1865, right? Black wealth takes off. Then you have this horrible period from about Woodrow Wilson, Democrat. So from about 1930 to the end of 1960 of Jim Crow, poll taxes, etc. If you look at the growth of black wealth, black capital, now, yes, if you compare it to Asians or compare it to some others, it may not be that. But if you just look how far we've come.
Amen.
Like when they were talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, this is what really burned me. They were talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg, they're like, oh, it's a woman. But the fact that she accomplished what she accomplished during her time, she went to school in 55 when she said she was the only woman there. People wouldn't call on her. They were looking at her funny. Why are you here? You need to be somewhere else. Women shouldn't be lawyers. And look what she accomplished. That's the problem with the Democrats. They're not looking. The left doesn't want to look at what people have accomplished in that time.
It's like a glass half full outlook.
Black folks right now own American culture and lead world culture.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely stunning to me.
Football, basketball, which were both created for white people.
And they're both, and particularly with basketball, which was, American football is still pretty unique to the U.S., but when you look at basketball now, which has gone to Canada and gone to China, and they have all these expansion teams that don't have, we were talking about, was it your brother or friend or something? You have a better chance now of being picked up internationally and getting paid millions of dollars as an athlete than you do here in the States.
Right.
When it comes to music, even fashion, when it comes to what's up, faux the
Urban Dictionary is like the secondary American dictionary.
Even if you look at country music, which used to be considered a lily white format, if you listen to pop country music, it has elements of R&B, hip hop in it.
Well, that's where it originated from.
This is absolutely. I'm not going to get into that with you. You can go into country music and go back to Piedmont blues, but then before Piedmont blues, because R&B was afterwards.
They're very closely related.
But you go to Appalachia.
R&B became what started as country. A lot of black people were singing soul. It made this exodus and growth and became R&B, became country. No, you also became different things.
No, because before country, you have Appalachia, which came out of You have Appalachian music. You have bluegrass, which also bleeds in the country. I think it's more. It's a little more.
Yeah, I'm saying they're branches of the same things that black people were a part of from the beginning.
Appalachian was not. Appalachian music was not.
Well, not that, but when you think about branches of a lot of country singers and stuff like that, a lot of people don't know a lot of early country singers were black.
Yes, they don't. And actually, some of them. But at any rate, I think it's just amazing just the domination of. That's why I'm just like, why are we such whiny celebrities? I've never met so many whiny millionaires and famous folks in my life as these black celebrities.
Well, I think the reason why they're whiny is to make sure that blacks who have not reached that top of the ladder as they have don't look at them as, oh, you're a sellout and I'm going to come there to your house with pitchforks and knives. So as, you hear Bill Gates and you hear Buffett say, oh, no, you need to tax me more. You need to tax my income is not being taxed enough. And so they say that in order for people to say, oh, well, they still relate to us and they still love us and stuff like that. And
that's their guilt at sending jobs overseas.
And I think that's what, I think a lot of blacks who are at that top level, like LeBron James, like Oprah Winfrey. You
think it's guilt
they
to
say
prevent?
That because of guilt, because they don't want to have blacks turning against them. I don't think so.
I don't think that's it. I actually think if Oprah and I'm not even going to make this a political thing, if they came out and said in mass form, if you all of a sudden saw 80-90% of successful blacks say, listen, right now in this country, this is not true in the 60s, but right now, yeah, you're going to get a racist person every now and then. So what? Woman up, man the F up, you can make it, you can do it. That will change the ethos. What bothers me is all these black folk. This is the difference between historically, from what I've seen visually. The black folks run around say, I think the white folks, I agree with you. They're doing it to protect themselves. But the black folks, I'm not sure, because they could, if the ethos among celebrity blacks became about work, I think that would bleed down and change. And let me tell you why I believe this would bleed down and change. Because prior to this new BLM stuff now, when I was growing up in high school, when I was with my black friends, etc., it was, hey, I'm going out to practice. I want to be a basketball player. You knew that took practice. No one that I knew, even rap stars knew. Even black kids who wanted to rap, they always had a recording. You remember you may not remember this, Angela, because you're so young, but they had the audio cassette recordings. They were always rapping. Right. They were always doing it because they knew it took work. They knew no one handed it to them.
Yeah.
But that's not the ethos. Now the ethos is, so it used to be, the ethos was the country is racist. You got to work you got to work extra hard. That used to be the ethos. You got to do twice. You grew up like this, right? Yeah. You got to be twice as much as the white man to get where you are. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, I always had a problem with that because I didn't feel it was necessarily always true, but at least that was the proper framing of the work ethic. Right. Yeah. Now it's, if you got it because you're lucky, because even if you do twice the work, you never will get it. That's been the change in culture.
Well, that's the polling I was talking about earlier. It's
previous episode.
The previous episode.
Yeah.
More black people think that hard work will make you more likely to be successful than most Democrats. So that was actually that's not surprising to me. I was expecting it to be a little bit higher, but most Democrats, I think it's become an ideal. If you had Obama when he was talking about that woman, I forgot the name, who basically the government helped her all throughout life, and that's the reason why she was successful.
You didn't build that.
Yeah, basically. So I think it's a common attitude at this point.
You didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
Right.
Somebody built that road. You went to work on.
The stuff that these top-level blacks, Oprah Winfrey, they spew out. I don't think they believe it at all. I mean, when she was talking about the caste system, remember she said all blacks go, how the hell did she escape the caste system?
She was sexually abused. Oprah was sexually abused.
She was hella ugly.
She was physically abused.
Oh my gosh.
She didn't necessarily make it on her looks. She wasn't sleeping around and did it. She did it because she worked hard.
Absolutely.
And she did it in an environment when you had sexist, misogynistic, and racist
and maybe
people
less opportunity.
NBC and CBS saying, hey, I don't know. She did it then. Bob Johnson, BET, did it then.
Absolutely.
And I'm so tired of this.
We talk about this all the time, Audrey and I.
We do. I'm so sick of it.
Yeah, it's almost self-deprecating.
It's to do as I say do, not as I do.
It's like you should be proud. You should be proud of yourself. You should say, I did this. This is amazing. You can do this too, and I want to help. Like,
because that's what black girls need to hear.
Right.
They need to hear, listen, I did this in a time when they damn sure didn't want white women doing it, let alone me.
Right.
I did it then. Mm-hmm. You know, she told a story once where they didn't want her to anchor when she was coming up to be a reporter. Oprah beat out Phil Donahue, white male.
I remember that.
Sally Jesse Raphael, white male. The Morton Stanley, Robert Downey Sr., I believe. Yeah. Just the Morton Downey Jr. Okay. Just the cadre of individuals that Oprah beat out to become a billionaire talk show host. And kept her brand clean the whole time.
So why is she supporting the caste system? That's the question. Why is she supporting the caste system? Is there something that we don't know that happened to her while she's up at the top or whatever?
I think at the end of the day,
she's black.
Listen. I don't know the feeling, but for the few very, very wealthy people I know, it's like almost being a president, right? It's lonely.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
And if you are a billionaire, you're already amongst the class by yourself. You already have a $60 million. Because black folks aren't coming for pitchforks for, some Black Lives Matter, but black folks aren't doing that. We're not doing that. I really believe that is her friend group. Those are the people she hangs with. And it becomes this ethos. That's how Hollywood has become. It's become this ethos.
Like a bubble.
I think it's a bubble. And I think some of it is just a downright, like you said. I think 50% of it. There is no way that LeBron James, no way. Michael Jordan has even said it now. Michael Jordan has even said that when he quipped that, he wouldn't endorse Jesse Helms when Jesse Helms was running for Senate. And he wouldn't endorse the black guy either that was running against him. And Jesse Helms had some shady records. I don't really remember the history other than he had some old racist. He's an old person from the South. He had maybe some racist statements in his past. And Michael Jordan would endorse the black guy, and he said, he just quipped, Republicans buy sneakers too. And then they asked him about it in that documentary we referenced the
The Last Dance.
Last Dance in the previous podcast. They asked him about that. And they said, well, do you regret that? And he said, no, because I wasn't in that mindset. I'm not a political person. I worked hard at my talent. That's where my mindset was. And now it's become, you can't get ahead in your talent. You can't make money. Oprah's got a brand and an empire to protect.
Right.
So you just get along. And I've heard a sports player recently. I was listening to one show, and one of the sports writers wrote, he said on the show that, listen, I've been in the room with Greg Popovich. I've been in the room with these head basketball coaches. This is a lie. This BLM social justice stuff because you know why? NFL, NBA, you are one of the top athletes. Even if you sit on the bench, you are one of the top athletes on the planet.
Right.
You don't get there because somebody saw your black skin and said, we're going to give you to sit on the bench. You get on that team because you are the best of the best of the best.
Yeah, it's a meritocracy.
It is. And so this notion that these NBA players are coming out, rock the world. No, they're not. Because they don't live that kind of life.
I got into a Twitter argument over that because people were saying, Andre, what's his name, Iguodala, he was saying, capitalism is racist and, it's the system is an issue and it's held black people back. And it's like, look, has the government done some systemic things you want to say? Yes, but that capitalism is like a newborn baby. It can't have intentions. It's an invisible hand. And they're like, that's not true. I believe capitalism is racist. It's like, that is very frustrating. And I think when you see athletes like that making money based on their talent, And then saying that the system that makes them money, they're selling shoes, they're selling jerseys.
You know what? I don't think they even understand what capitalism is. I have to believe that they don't understand what capitalism is. They don't understand what socialism is.
It's not a white hand. It's an invisible hand.
It's an invisible hand.
Yeah, they don't understand it.
It is the first aspect of capitalism has nothing to do with whites or blacks. It has everything to color. It has everything to do with property rights.
Yeah,
that's the first element.
Right.
If you don't have property rights, there's no possible way you can have capitalism because you're gonna have someone coming in there and invading your stuff and taking it. And
Which,
then it's
by
gonna
the
be,
way, was the fight of the '60s. The issue with '60s was if you were black and you had a store owner, the Klan could come and burn down your store, and the sheriff wouldn't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the problem. If all black people wanted was equal treatment under the law, so all they wanted to say is no, you can't allow someone, because the Jews that's how the Jews were able to make it so quickly in New York and Chinese people in other places. Because, listen, people were anti-Semitic as hell in New York City when the Jews came over on, what is it, Ellis Island? Right? Ellis Island. But they basically said, okay, go out there to Brooklyn, do your own little stuff, and we'll leave you alone. And so what did the Jews do? They you saw this in, what they call it, Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you left a group of people alone, so what happened? See people from the outside come in and start burning it down.
Right.
That was the real issue.
Right.
It wasn't about color. And this is what amazes me. I looked up this Iguodala, right? Not only is he a participant in capitalism, not only is he at the top of his game, but he married his childhood sweetheart, Christina Gutierrez, and is still married to them, and they have 2 kids.
Ooh, that's acting
In other words,
that's
these
white.
And if you notice this,
he doesn't have a bunch of babies?
No. Jordan,
He's really white.
LeBron, all of these successful players that have been clean, they have followed a simple formula.
Right.
They work hard, they save their money, they have money managers, they largely stay married to the same woman. Even if they step outside of that marriage, they end up back with the same woman. Even Kobe Bryant did that. He stayed with the same woman.
Yeah, LeBron's with his high school sweetheart.
And so LeBron is with his. If you look at the successful basketball players, they and when I mean successful, I don't mean money wise. I mean in their totality of their lives.
Right. Yep.
They all have the same formula.
Right.
Robert Johnson was married to his same. They just recently divorced not that long ago. She owned Salamander Hotels. But when he was growing up, when they had kids, they stayed together the whole time. Yeah. Bill Cosby, the whole time. Even though his wife knew whatever's going on, they stayed together the whole time. These guys are out there staying behind Black Lives Matter. Let me not get there because I'm going to get the game off.
Well, listen. I go back to this. I think that they're supporting Black Lives Matter because they feel guilty about the road that they travel.
I don't think they feel guilty about it.
Well, and people expect.
No. I'm not saying they feel. I'm not saying they feel guilty about the road. They feel guilty of the success that they have, and then black.
I don't think LeBron James feels guilty about the success that he has.
He thinks that he is the exception, not the rule.
Right. Well,
I think that's guilt. That's different. I think there is white guilt, but I think LeBron and Oprah, either they're lying, which is really cynical. I don't know. If I had my choice, I would say they're lying. Michael Jordan told the truth. I mean, watching that documentary.
Well, he probably
and people
told. He
will
probably
call
told,
him a sellout all the time.
Who? Michael Jordan?
Yeah, people.
Him, Charles Barkley.
Yeah. Well.
You know, the younger generation is like, oh, they're sellouts. They're Oreos.
You know, and even now, even though LeBron James is mouthing all that crap, look at where he's actually putting his money and what he's doing in schools, encouraging families. This is what I'm saying.
He's acting white. This is the bottom line. He's acting white.
You know? And this is what you tell black kids. If you don't want the cops whooping on your ass, put down the drugs and pick up a damn book.
Right. Yeah.
Go off.
Yeah. I'm sorry. There you go. All right, look, let's move on. So here's another one. In 1958, 44% of whites said that they would move if a black family became their next door neighbor. Today, which this report, 1998, said that a figure is 1% that would say that.
And now it's negligible now. Hell, they're probably sleeping with them anyway.
well, most of the time blacks self-segregate anyway. So, but
is this the white flight time back in 1958? Was that
this is what I'm saying? Everybody's living in like 1960.
Well, that's what I keep on saying.
This is crazy.
They want to keep on bringing up the past and say, oh, this is what happened. This is what's going to happen. We got to continue to fight against this systemic racism, which is baloney. Because if there's systemic racism, than Oprah Winfrey, and then no one else could.
There are systemic assholes.
Yeah, well,
that's what's systemic.
Assholes.
Humanity is full of assholes.
Yep.
It's like when I'll never forget. I was with my uncle, somebody cut us off when I was a kid. I was like, oh my God, this guy was so racist. And my uncle was like, no, he's not. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are following you around the store because they're an asshole. Not because they're racist. That's because who they are. Because when they see a poor white person walk in with some stereotype overalls and shoes that talk and stuff, they're going to follow them too. Because they're elitist, classist, racist asses.
I mean, hearing about how life was for my grandfather was a real wake-up call for me. Like,
when you couldn't look white folks in the face.
They, and he worked for the government.
This is crazy.
Different water fountains, different bathrooms. He could, no matter how long he worked there, for the first 20 years, he couldn't get a promotion. He couldn't get a better. He was training white men to be his boss. I mean,
I am so tired of complaints.
And for me, I heard that and I said, I'm gonna make it for you. Because you were held back. I'm not.
And it's interesting you say that, because I do believe if you could go back or bring somebody back from time and show them what's going on and say, listen, we have all these blacks out here who constantly complain. They would say, what the hell are you complaining about?
They would tell you to sit your ass down.
All the opportunity you have out here, we struggled, died, and sweat, tears, or whatever the case may be, in order for you to have this opportunity. Take it and enjoy it.
Yeah. Right.
It's amazing.
I'll never forget my grandfather. He was so proud of me when he found out. And this was, he died before I graduated, but he was so proud of me.
From Liberty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Working, and I remember he was like, he gave me $50. He wasn't like a rich guy, but he was like, buy a business suit. You want to look professional. Mm-hmm. And that was like such a big deal for him that his granddaughter was working in an office.
Mm-hmm. I remember my grandmother. As my grandmother came up in different generation, I heard her say all sorts of stuff about white folks.
Right.
And I'll never forget, she said something one day, and I was like, Grandma, and she said, hey, I know I talk the way I talk, but remember, you can't make my past pain your present.
Right. That's true.
That's profound.
That's true. And
that's what we're doing. That's it.
That's what we're doing.
That's it. And so I'm tired. So Al Sharpton bothers me. And he bothers me because Al Sharpton is an example. Al Sharpton is old enough to remember where he could not walk into the front of us. This is what really upsets me about Al Sharpton, and rest in peace, John Lewis and Elijah Cummings.
Jesse Jackson.
Jesse Jackson's still alive too. They actually grew up at a time where they had to go into the back. And now, not only can they go into the front, but anyone will meet with them. They get all sorts of, they can get any money. They can walk into any place they want. They can afford to buy whatever. People will treat them like kings now around the world. Yeah. And what bothers me is they still can't stand up. And I think, and it's just not that, it's a different fight. The fight now is not, you're not fighting against a systemic institutional racism culture now. Now what we're fighting against is internal to black people. Let me get real for a second. That's the problem. We are fighting what's inside, what has been ingrained to us by idiots like Sharpton and Jackson. That's what we're fighting against, our own mentality. Well, there is no white man holding you back. Shut the
There is. Stop. Well, we talk about this. It is a culture that has been developed. It's a culture that has been developed. It's a negative culture. It's a backward culture. It's a culture that's inferior. And then,
is it even, I don't know what the name is. It's not even culture. It's a mindset of fear.
But that's a part of a culture. When it's like being in a household. If you develop a household that says we wake up at a certain time, we go to work, we eat, we respect each other, education is important. That is the culture you set. Now, you could set a culture in a household that says, you know what, we lazy, we talk foul mouth. And so we have developed a culture. When we were first free from slavery, or when blacks were first free from slavery, what happened was the missionaries came down to the South to take out that redneck, hillbilly white culture that was embedded in blacks. And in doing so, blacks were able to move forward. And as we saw, blacks actually exceeded whites in many aspects, whether it was economics, whether it was owning a business or a trade, low babies born out of wedlock.
What was the principle for AME? African American Episcopal Church. Principle for Kojic was one thing. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Yeah.
Right.
It didn't say it would be hard. It didn't say it would be difficult, but I can do all things. So when you grew up in a black
That's
church,
a culture.
you
That's
grew
a
up
culture.
in a culture that said,
Boom.
yes, there may be racism, there may be this, but you can do all things.
Yep.
Not
Right.
some things, not half things, but all things.
Right.
And that...
So what does liberalism preach now? Oh, you can't do anything
There
without
is
the
no
government. Well,
Yeah.
there is no God, and government is the God.
government
now.
is the God.
Government is
Yeah.
your God. You
People
need
can't get
government.
ahead.
Government
Get
is
ahead.
what beat your black ass in the first place. So why would you go back to... This is what I tell people with police brutality. Government is the one that has sanctioned. If you're gonna say there's police brutality, Brown Taylor, for all this kind of stuff, government has sanctioned that stuff for 50 years. So why the hell would you go to government? The people that have been whipping your ass, you going back to them?
And even before that, the government shouldn't have a good history of trust with us at all. And if you think that veterans coming back from Vietnam or whatever with one leg couldn't get good health care, but you as a black person is going to get good health care in a government-run system,
Uh-oh. Preach. Apparently you know
crazy.
something. Apparently.
you're crazy.
That's what I'm saying, man. Come on now. Black folks, you got to grow up. I'm not saying you got to be up Trump's yeehaw. That's not what I'm saying.
No, that's not what
What
we're
I
saying.
am saying is you got to start thinking for your
For
damn
yourself,
self.
exactly. And
Start thinking for yourself. Stop being stupid on
Rugged
Twitter and on
individualism.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Start thinking for yourself. Everything that anybody black has got, you got it on your damn own. You didn't get it because the government gave you a handout. Because the second government gives you shit, you lose it.
Yep, you do. Yep.
Go off. Going off.
We got to mark this podcast explicit. It's too many swear words. No, seriously, we got to do it.
And
'Cause
that's
Apple-
Audrey,
Because what'll
ladies.
happen is Apple will flag it and it'll cause us problems. So
okay.
we got to remember to tell
Yeah.
Emmanuel that.
So it says, here's another one. It says, in 1964, the year of the Great Civil Rights Act was passed. Only 18% of whites claimed to have, this is interesting, claimed to have a friend who was black. Today, 1996 or 1998, 86% say they do, while 87% of blacks assert that they have white friends. So black and whites are...
This is pigment. Yeah, sorry, Darren. I
No.
didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, I was going to say, black and whites, considering
Yeah.
the history of this country, are getting along pretty darn well together.
That's because it's melon in your skin.
Yes.
And if you don't believe that, black folks in this country, if you don't believe that, take your black ass to Uganda. And look how they look at you. I'm serious. I'm tired of this.
I know.
Take your black ass to Uganda.
I'm surprised by that statistic because I was reading recently that most white people said they didn't have a black friend.
Oh, that's horse shit.
They do.
Where did that come from?
MSNBC, Joy Reid.
And you know what the interesting thing about this, which I like, is that you probably wouldn't find this in the Booking Institute now, 22
Public
years
Religion
later.
Research
You know,
Institute.
this basically they're far left, pretty much, the Brookings Institute. But this is back in 1998, so they weren't kind of like on that crazy side as they are now. But yeah,
They have their moment. The
moment
whole
of- their
story,
moment of clarity.
the whole study, you know, the ways to get out of poverty.
Oh, came out of, you're right.
Yeah, if you do this, you will not be poor.
And think about this, what Black Lives Matter did. We're going to talk about Urban Cure and Star Parker. Star Parker put up billboards which said, tired of poverty, graduate from school, take any job, get married, save and invest, and give back.
Right.
that sounds like Booker T.
That
Washington.
is a 98.5% chance of not being in poverty. It didn't
Right.
tell you had to get a hard science degree, and it just said get any degree.
Right.
Stay married, give back.
Right.
That is insane to me. And Black Lives Matter in Milwaukee came across and said, not in our city. We're not having this in our city. That's insulting. That's the kind of mentality that's in this organization.
They're
That
the
is
real
culture.
fascists.
They are
right
developing
there.
That's
the
a
culture.
losing. That's the kind of mentality.
And you embrace, and you know, and blacks embrace it. They embrace it.
I don't think blacks embrace that.
No, I'm not talking about all blacks. I'm
The celebrity blacks and the leadership that they're holding
it's
up.
definitely pushed. It is definitely a message that's pushed.
And it's pushed by the leadership blacks. Black leaders are failing in service.
They always have. Malcolm X said that forever
Listen,
ago.
I disagree with Obama and Michelle Obama, but that'd be damned to say they were lazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Obama got where he got because he was smart and he figured out, I'm going to take out Hillary Clinton and be president of the damn United States.
And did it well.
And he did it.
His
quick.
campaign was it was a
He
record
did
breaking
it.
for many reasons.
He did it. And all those white folks running his campaign were working for him.
Yep.
Right.
And on top of that, who got him into office? Because blacks we can't elect anyone in or out of office
On our own.
Yeah, on our own.
Especially when you don't vote.
But hey, and a lot of white people were voting for him just to say, "Listen, we're not racist. Please give us a freaking break. Give us a break."
I'm just so exhausted. I'm exhausted with I'm exhausted with the conversation. And at some point, white folks,
they're gonna get tired of it.
Y'all, because it's mostly white people listen to this podcast. Well, it will be when it was published. Y'all have to get tired of this bullshit.
You got to.
Y'all have to get tired of it because now we're in a. You just have to get tired of it.
Well,
most white people I know, they don't give a crap about what my black ass is doing.
Yeah, they don't.
If I'm not affecting them, they don't care.
They got their own problems in life. Listen,
you don't care.
They got bill problems. They got sickness problems. They got everything.
Bill problems, sickness problems. You might
and they might get arrested for drinking and driving.
The only place you sort of still may see a little bit of folks caring about what black folks do is when it comes to marry, and black families too, when it comes to like marrying their daughters or something like that, or sons. That might be the only sort of area you see, but it's BS.
Yeah,
it's BS. White folks don't care about you. That's that is how arrogant is that to think that poor white folks are sitting around thinking about what you do all day.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right. At some point, and I'm sure they do, white folks, they got to get tired of it. They got to get tired. There's kind of like a process of like, okay, blacks complain, and they said, okay, well, we'll try to help you. And then they help them, and blacks still complain. They said, oh, okay, what we'll do is we'll just separate from you because we're getting a little annoyed by this. And so, they separate from them, and then all of a sudden blacks complain even more. And then whites, I guess they get to the point where like,
when we say blacks are complaining, I don't even think it's that.
Yeah, I don't think
it's like 20 black leaders complaining, and then a bunch of white Antifa people coming into restaurants turning over tables.
Yeah, if you go to those, I was at the riots in Baltimore, and they were 75% white.
And the black folks that were there, all they wanted was some shoes.
The black folks that were there, they made their speeches, and they said, okay, guys, go home. Don't mess with the police. Make this peaceful. Go home. Tamika Mallory, the protest that she's been leading, she said, no violence. We're not going to allow this movement to be associated with violence or race or anti-white racism. Go protest and then go home.
Let me ask you a question.
What does protest do anyways?
Go ahead. Protest doesn't do shit. The best thing you can do
has a historical purpose, but I think you have to move beyond it.
A historical purpose. It's a historical purpose.
You have to move beyond it, but
it's like Republicans talking about Reagan. I told Republicans
when
Reagan died, I said, shut up.
The Tea Partiers was protested.
When Jay-Z tried to get that, was it football or basketball team, he said, we got to get beyond this protest.
That's right.
He knew.
You have to. You can't get stuck there. I think that's the issue with the movements right now.
But what were they protesting?
100 years.
This is my deal. So let's take a look. Let's go back to this original one with Obama and Ferguson. What were they protesting?
They were protesting.
Hands up, don't shoot. Which didn't happen.
Proved to be a lie.
Okay, and I don't think anyone actually thought he had his hands up and said.
Oh no, a lot of people thought.
No, that's not true.
The people that I know,
a lot of people thought that.
I don't think anyone know. I don't know.
And they thought George Zimmerman was a white Hispanic. Trust me.
They thought he was just white. Yeah, right. George Zimmerman was just white.
They believe that stuff. Those people.
I don't know what circles you're in. I don't know a single person who believed it happened that way.
Well, you're at Liberty College.
I think it was symbolic. It was symbolic of the fact that he was unarmed. But I don't think anyone actually was like, that's the way it happened.
He had two guns. His fist?
Okay.
Ask the store clerk beat up first if he was unarmed.
Yeah, no, he was. I mean, the dude was big. He was a menace.
I mean, this is insane.
It.
No, the reason I can say they believe it is because look at the narrative that has surrounded Breonna Taylor.
Absolutely.
Well,
That she was laying in the bed, sleeping, and then they shot her.
That has existed for a while. That has existed for a while.
6 months.
So when I started reading the op-eds in the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, etc., they definitely believe that. They were pushing that narrative. That he came out with his hands up, he said don't shoot, and he got shot.
I don't know if that's what the media was. The media might have been pushing that, but among the people that I knew, that was how it went viral. They were creating these images, and I had friends who were like, oh, we're going to create this image too, because we're trying to bring awareness to what happened.
Listen, you were among the few. All right, you and your friends were among the few because
you and your educated community,
exactly. Yeah. You know, predominantly
to
white.
us, it was not.
Just joking.
But even
if it was,
but even if you say that and you go through. When I looked up, what caused me to look it up is I was flashing. You know, we don't have time to do a lot, but I was flashing through Tucker. Or flashing through the news, I saw Tucker. And I saw this monologue where Tucker said, I'm going to take you through 22 shootings or something that happened from unarmed black men. I think it was 2019. I think it was. And he went one by one by one. And I was amazed. 2019, was it 22 or was it less than that? Somebody looking it up? He went one by one by one. I was like, wait, what? This is what I'm saying. We're living in an alternative universe. People are creating an alternative universe, and basically what they're creating, and I know folks aren't going to like this, but I'm going to say it anyway. What they're creating is excuses. Of course. This is what it is. You haven't succeeded. School is tough. Life is tough. We get it. And I understand it. Your job probably should be paying you more. You probably should have benefits. But we're going to make all these excuses rather than focus on the number one thing you need to be focused on is policy. And let me tell you why. Because if you're black and you focus on policy, I don't care who Trump is or Bush is, you got to be on the Republican side. If you are poor and you focus on policy, you got to be on the Republican side, because that's the side that says no more regulations, no more holding back, no occupational licensing. You go out into the marketplace and, damn it, do everything you can to legally make a dollar, hold a dollar, keep a dollar, and take that dollar off.
By the way, check out Trump's Platinum Plan for Black America if you haven't already.
Yeah, you're going to be releasing an op-ed on that, aren't you?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Fantastic.
That's the plan. Yeah. But it mentions in that, examining occupational licensing on the state level.
In occupational licensing, let's take marijuana. So all of the white Democrats were going around saying, oh, we want marijuana, oh, marijuana, oh, marijuana. And then if you look at the licenses that came out, Colorado's a recreational state, the first one to come out, right? Mm-hmm. Something like 99% of the licenses, I think there was one black woman out of 1,000 people. So literally 99%. One black woman received a license.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
So the white folks pushed this recreational policy under the guise of, look at all the black men we're throwing up. Then they make the fees and the license so high and the education so high, and you got to have so much land. You got to have that they can't get it.
Right.
White Democrats did that because the white Democrats were racist. We got to do explicit anyway. Yeah. I'm getting too hype.
I know one of the girls I grew up with was one of the first black women, I think, to get a medical marijuana license, and it was this huge story because it's so rare for that to happen.
It's so rare. Yeah. Occupational licensing. Look at real estate. Look at all this stuff. So this is what happened throughout the years. As white people, as a class, made money in the systems that black people weren't in, like banking. Then as it got more sophisticated and black people came in, there was more regulation. And a lot of that regulation, if you go back to Woodrow Wilson and you go back to Roosevelt, you go back to minimum wage, those Democrat regulations were passed specifically to exclude black people from being in them. So if you want to vote for something that is going to help out the black community, don't worry about Trump and his demeanor. You vote Republican. Because yes, the best thing for you to do is say, government, leave me the hell alone, and I'll make it on my own.
Well, they started that with guns. Remember Black Panthers? when they started walking around telling you guys, they're like, okay, we need to put up some regulations.
Black gun ownership is going up right now too, which is great.
That's great.
No, that's very good.
You know,
that's a good sign.
But when it comes to rap, when it comes to athletic, black people have taken advantage of the capitalist system beyond the means. I know we like to focus on Apple and Twitter and this and that and all that stuff. Black individualism has just taken the hold where you have one DMX, Run DMX comes out with one song and it just takes control of the entire culture, hip hop culture, and it becomes mainstream culture. It's amazing to me.
Yeah. The level that a rapper like Cardi B has risen, you know, not just in America, but internationally.
And listen to her little songs.
Oh, my God.
Right.
We have Cardi B she is so important in the cultured ethos that Ben Shapiro takes 2 minutes to read her lyrics on his program. A Jewish, white guy, Republican, conservative has to take 2 minutes to read her lyrics.
She's got over commercials a black girl. With Amazon.
Did she even graduate from high school?
She has some potato chips, too.
Yeah.
You know, she does have those potato chips.
Michael Jordan revolutionized shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nike took a chance with Michael Jordan.
So there's really no need for blacks to be complaining.
Stop complaining.
I mean, I do think that there's more we need to do policy-wise, but I think that the way that we're going about it, at some point you have to take the protesting beyond. And I want to see people marching to their town halls.
If they would march and say, we want deregulation so we can have more black banks, because the way the system is tied up right now, you have to have like 5 people worth $100 million each to even get a bank started.
Right.
That's what you need to march about.
Well, let me ask you a question about this.
Yes, sir.
When you look back at the 60s and when you look at the LBJ era, when the Great Society came about and you had what unfolded with that was a lot of rioting and criminality and all that stuff. And it seemed to be because of welfare was being distributed out there and people were viewing, well, maybe, you know, AJ is getting more than I am, or maybe Audrey is making less than I am. And people started to complain. And my point being is that when you're always depending on the government to provide for you, and they're thinking they're supposed to be your daddy or your husband, and then you see someone else benefiting that's basically in the same arena that you are, you start to become disgruntled. You know, you don't look at it as, you know what, I'm going to make my own path, I'm going to do my own thing, I'm going to create my own destiny, as what we go back to Oprah, we go back to LeBron James. Basically, I'm
Morgan
looking at
Freeman, Lil Wayne.
Right, I'm looking at Pookie over here, and you know, Pookie just got $600 from the government, and I don't have it.
Cat
and
Williams,
so the whole complaining,
Anthony.
the whole protesting, because why are they protesting, and who are they protesting to in the first place? They're protesting the government. Apparently, government is not giving them enough money as what they think they should be getting, and maybe Pookie is getting a little bit more money. And so this whole aspect of complaining and bitching and groaning has a lot to do with the fact that government can never get you to a level of where you should be as a human being. So it's just a thought.
Man, this was just a depressing show for Friday, let me tell you.
No, actually, it's not a depressing show. It's an opportunity to say, listen, black people.
And by the way, everybody around here is black. Let's get that straight. Everyone around this table is black.
Yep. And has at some point lived.
And we've grown up around black folks. Lived in the hood. Yep. We've all had no money. We've all had to deal with folks follow us around the store. We've all had some racism happen to us. Right. Come on now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I don't want to hear it. That's why I don't want to hear it. Somebody came at me the other day. Oh, I bet you you getting all that money from Rush. Blah, 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 blah. What money? What are you talking about?
I don't know why people think
we built this pack ourselves, man. Right. It was donors like you guys listening to us, $20, $25 at a time. Right. We have like 5 big donors. The max one gave $25,000. Right, and we got a $10,000, a $10,000, a $5,000, a $5,000, and we got a few grand. You know,
if I were to strike out and be like, I'm going to be the next Angela Rye, I would make way.
Shoot, if I would have sold out and went to MSNBC right now, shoot, I'd have $10 million. If
I'd be another
girl, Joy, what's her name?
Joy Reid.
Joy Reid is banking.
If I were to say, you know what, I was supporting Trump, but I ain't supporting Trump no more, and then MSNBC would be like, oh, she left the Trump camp. Yeah. Let's have her at the next convention.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Everybody has to know what they do well. One thing I do well is public speaking. And if I had come out and said, you know what, I was with Trump, but he is a racist, he's defined. Boy,
oh my goodness!
I'd have so much money right now. I wouldn't even. I have 2-3 book deals, a television show,
You'd be
money.
A paid contributor.
And you would have a bobblehead
CNN, MSNBC,
and a cartoon.
A bobblehead, and I would be the biggest genius on the planet.
You would be.
This is a very thankless position to have.
It is.
Being a black Republican, a black conservative is a thankless position. You get it from both sides. If you talk about blackness, you get picked on. If you talk about American exceptionalism, you get picked on. It's just a difficult place to be in, and I don't understand why anybody would choose to be it, but this is who I am. This is what I believe.
This is a beautiful space.
To be it publicly, to publicly, be in this space is difficult. And so the idea... Right. Yeah. That's why the black people that are prominent
to make it where she is. So she's like, I don't want any more fights.
It's not, the idea that you would sign up. Oh, I want to be a public black Republican because I'll get lots of Twitter followers.
They give LeBron James, all these people. Oh my God, LeBron spoke out. What courage? What courage? What courage does it take to be on the left? It don't take no damn courage to be rich and a celebrity and be on the left. It doesn't take any courage. What really takes courage is to do what Morgan Freeman and Lil Wayne did when Piers Morgan said, hey, do you think racism exists now? And Morgan Freeman said, ooh, no. And then Lil Wayne said, you know what? Ask me that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's what really takes courage.
Right. And you said it.
And yes, because every black person wants to come out. Let me tell you something. Her and I disagree often, but let me tell you this right now. Candace Owens, that takes courage to come out every single day and say stuff that
it's going to get pushed back.
It's going to get pushed back. It's going to have you labeled. That takes courage. Because if somebody attacks you in the street, nobody's going to give a damn. Nobody on the left.
And I remember, and I get a lot of black conservatives have beef with the Candace Owens and the Candace Owens camp. And I think there is some issue there with education on blackness and whatever. Fine. But there are times when I agree, and I've gone out of my way to avoid attacking, because I think when we attack within our camp, we don't allow people to have the growth that they need. We don't have the cohesion and the unity that we need to make the black conservative movement as robust as it could be.
We don't agree with every black conservative and everything they say, but why attack them? There's enough people on the left doing that job. We don't need to add to it.
Yeah. Right.
We don't need, and that's what I say with Republicans. Why in the world are you attacking your fellow Republicans if you really believe what you say believe? There's enough people doing that.
Right.
What takes real courage is to do what Trump would have been. Imagine if Trump had said, I'm going to run as a Democrat.
Well, they would have loved him to death.
Oh, my. Could you imagine that? Trump would have been the biggest black president since Obama.
Yeah.
If he had just imagine if Trump had said, you know what, I'm going to run as a Democrat. That would have been a game changer.
Because a lot of his policies are in between on some things. At least they weren't where Republicans were.
That's right.
4 years ago.
Trump made a move, a pro-life move.
Right.
He's always been he's been an America robust, America first move. Imagine he would have realigned the Democratic movement had he did that. The Democratic Party.
Well, I don't think. First of all, him being pro-American, I don't think they would have received him. If he had been
oh no, they would have received him because the Democratic people are about power. They are about power.
But being a pro-American person as what he is now, and he's just saying he was a Democrat.
They would have received him. You know why? Because just prior to him doing it, Bernie Sanders was a pro-American, anti-immigration person that the Democratic Party had started to embrace. If Trump had picked up Bernie's mantle, got to remember, Bernie Sanders was anti-immigration. He was legal immigration.
But Bernie Sanders has always been about the state and the government.
But guess what? Trump could listen. Look at Trump's policies.
But they sabotaged Bernie at the same time, and Planned Parenthood would be.
But they couldn't have sabotaged Trump like they did Bernie.
came out and he was pro-life.
But Trump wouldn't have came. I don't believe that Trump came into being pro-life before he ran. I don't believe that's the case. I don't even think it was a thought really in his mind.
I don't even think that.
I think it was after he was running. After he was running, and he was thinking about it, he became it.
Or he realized it would be beneficial.
At the end of the day, Trump is a winner. And that just wasn't, abortion is not at the top of his list of stuff he cares about.
Yeah.
Like being in church.
He probably realized it would be beneficial to him.
You know?
But
he could have ran as what Bernie Sanders ran, right? Trump could have ran as Bernie Sanders light. Anti-immigration, but Bernie Sanders light. Because remember, half of the Democrats were on Bernie Sanders' side when it came to this immigration. Democrats were writing about it. You know,
everyday Democrats, but the establishment was not.
The establishment was not, but look at what Trump did to the Republican establishment. He blew them out of the water.
Well, he did. He did.
The Republican establishment is a little bit less centralized. I think the Democratic establishment is so clustered.
The Democratic establishment
and loyal.
The Democratic establishment consisted of Hillary Clinton. And Trump would have blown Hillary Clinton out. Imagine him running on that side of the aisle. And Hillary Clinton has the email problems. Think about it. All the arguments he made against Hillary Clinton, he could have made them on the Democratic side. He would have blown her away. 99% Q rating, 14 and a half years on TV. Everybody knew who he was. And remember, he converted Obama voters to him. So he would have kept those Obama voters. And he's now on the stage with President Obama shaking hands? Oh, please.
Well, I was about to say, speaking of President Obama, especially after everyone was so mad about him jumping on Hillary's birther movement.
You know?
But,
jeez.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen.
And the media, and the biggest thing about this, the media would have stuck up for Trump. They would have kept sticking up for him.
That's an interesting theory. I wish it'd be interesting if we could go back.
If we could go back, like in the string theory, is that what Stephen Hawking called it? Man, you guys have gotten me. I'm exhausted.
Well, this was a great, fantastic second episode of the era of Reconstruction. Ladies and gentlemen, glad you joined us. Glad you listened to Preacher Pruitt.
Bishop.
Derek cannot say my name right.
I did. That's what I said. Audrey Pruitt. I said Pruitt.
You said Pruitt.
Preacher Audrey Pruitt.
Bishop Pruitt.
Yeah, Bishop Pruitt.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. And Swinson.
Get it right. I'm Minister Swinson.
Minister
Yeah.
Swinson.
Deaconess.
I hope people that are watching, like church, that are watching this, because this is real churchy today.
Right.
It's real churchy today.
Well, thank you again for joining us, the Era of Reconstruction, and we will see you next week.
Uncle Ruckus again. No relation. This podcast is paid for by the New Journey PAC and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.